Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome to Gubat Banwa, Ashen Glory, brought to you by Friends Who Roll Dice, a lovely network sponsoring or facilitating what have you, my machinations with these lovely people, and I'm truly so excited. I can't contain myself, so I'm going to introduce the series and the players real fast, and we are going to dive right in. My name is Julie Ciel. I am a tabletop actual play streamer, an award-winning fantasy writer, and a professional actor and comedian based out of New York. And I'm also Filipino-American and have connected a lot to this tabletop game system called Gubat Banwa, or Warring Realms. It is a tabletop game system inspired by the likes of Final Fantasy Tactics and Fire Emblem, a lot of strategic moving around, violence, passion, glory, all baked in this pre-colonial Southeast Asian mythic vibe. It is such a refreshing game. It is so fun for me as someone with Filipino descent in the diaspora to explore, and it's not the first Gubat Banwa game I've streamed or run or played in. The concept for this one is that it is going to be very much reckoning with the legacy of colonialism that the setting has found itself in. Our story is going to take place in Virbanwa, which is a commentary on the modern Philippines. This is the part of the world of Gubat Banwa that has learned from the colonizers, adapted their technology and religion and imperialism, and has lost a lot of culture and connection to nature as a result. It's a complex and nuanced setting and story, and I'm truly so excited to explore it with these lovely people. So I'm just going to go around and you all can introduce who you are, just maybe with a little mini bio about yourself. You can say who you're playing, what discipline they are, and if you want to throw in a fun fact about your character, you can, but we will of course get to know them much better in the narrative. So why don't we start with our Gubat Banwa veteran over here, Sylvia. Who are you and who will you be bringing to the adventure tonight?
Yes, hello everybody. I am Sylvia or Shadow Sylvia, whichever is fine. I use she/her pronouns. Yeah, to I was gonna say tonight, but for these future sessions, I will be playing Paloma Orapon, who also uses she/her pronouns. Paloma is our Loxamon, which is a monkey folk for everybody at home, and is also a blade weaver. So a little bit of sorcery with a lot of stabby on the side.
On the side or in your side? Ha! All right. Ha ha! Let's pass it over to Ross. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Amazing. Hello, I'm Ross. I'm the game master and editor and co-director of Blades of Mayari, which is a Canadian-led, Canadian Filipino-led actual play podcast inspired by pre-colonial Filipino mythology. Yeah, this is awesome. I'm super stoked to play Gubat Banwa. I think it's one of the I'm also Filipino of descent, and the more I dig into our history, the more I realize a couple of things. And Gubat Banwa was one of the settings that helped me kind of expand my understanding that it's not just Philippines, like how connected Southeast Asia was together, and how outside forces kind of split us up in unnatural ways. So like super cool and very excited to dive into this kind of world. And I will be diving in and piloting Jace Luna or Jacinto Luna. He is a murder glaive. Probably listens to Evanescence and getting into corn maybe, and
Not
diving
quite ready yet.
deeper. Yeah,
Starting with Evanescence, moving into Corn is definitely like
yeah,
a mood.
it's like a
Yeah.
jump, an
Yeah.
unusual kind of thing, and he's kind of managing all of his angst and using that as power to defeat his enemies. Yeah, that's me.
The connective tissue there is definitely Linkin Park. And props to Mike
You
Shinoda,
know,
who's weirdly into NFT. So like maybe not props,
yeah,
but
Acknowledgement.
you acknowledge, we
Yeah.
acknowledge
A
the
head
things he's
nod.
brought.
but
Yeah.
yeah, tip of the hat.
And of course, let's pass it over to Steve. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I would love to. Hi, everyone. My name's Steve Wen. I'm a Vietnamese tabletop RPG writer based out of Toronto, Canada. I'm also one of the co-hosts of Asian Present. My pronouns are currently he, him, and I am stoked to dive into a Southeast Asian kind of RPG. I've never played Gubat Banwa before. The world is really rich. Ross, to your point, as I explore my own heritage, focusing on Vietnam, I can't escape, not that I want to, the overall Southeast Asian history. The thing that's really been like sparking my imagination and like firing me up is the geography. And I know that sounds so boring, but the geography is so cool. And I wish someone had told me about how cool it is. Because you have all these people like who are doing like amateur cartography in their tabletop RPG home games, things like that. I'm like, yo, you need to pull up a map of like Southeast Asia. You need to pull up a map of like Vietnam or like South China and like figure this out because it's all there. You don't have to work for it. Yeah. Anyways, I will be playing Pablo Salamanca, who is our Sarapati. Pablo is going to be kind of like a support character here. So in combat, I'm going to be kind of helping out the crew, making sure that the people we beat get beat severely. But in general, I'll be playing more of kind of a sly character, someone who kind of understands that combat happens both on the battlefield and also sometimes at the dinner table.
Ooh, I love that. I
Oh.
love all of you. I'm so freaking excited. Are we ready to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Then let's dive into Gubat Banwa, Ashen Glory. Session 1, Blades of the Ashen Star. The Sword Isles are a beautiful archipelago in an endless ocean. There are as many people and cultures as there are islands, as there are fish in the sea. It is a expanse of many different people and their conflicts. As Gubat Banwa means the Warring Realms, another name for the Sword Isles. But our story takes place across the crystal blue sea, past the verdant green forests, into a true crown jewel of civilization and enlightenment, the capital city of Ananara. The nation of Virbanwa that follows the Ashen Star, and the one true god Makagaga, whom praise be upon him, is where we find our players today. Going through the capital city of Ananara, you see pristine buildings of white stone cut perfectly into geometric shapes. You see elaborate churches to the Ashen Star, enormous residences, carts being pulled down stone streets. But we have yet to meet our heroes, and I'm going to roll this little die to figure out who we get to meet first.
Fate.
And the fates have decided that we are going to rush through the streets of Ananara. And Steve, will you tell us what Pavlo is up to on this shining day in the crown jewel of Virbanwa?
Shining day, you say, but I hear hot day. It's hot today, just like it was yesterday. Pavlo is chilling out in the shade, in a nice little knitted hammock, with a fresh coconut kind of just like chopped open. Pavlo is fancy, but fancy around people. When he's by himself, or maybe with just like friends, we can be like a little messier, a little sloppier. So there's no straw or anything like that. He's just gonna like raw that coconut. And he's not too afraid of it because there's definitely like a little bit of liquor kind of hanging in there. But you know what? This is a good day. He woke up feeling like it's a good day. He's waiting for something, but he likes to wait in style. I think he might be kind of at like a not a restaurant per se, but like a roadside kind of business. So they might be able to serve him like some like buns or something like that if he really, really wanted it. He definitely knows he has the money for it. But right now, he just wants to make sure he's not sweating too much. That's going to really ruin the whole aesthetic here.
Absolutely. The sun is beating down, a feeling you are very, very familiar with. And as you are enjoying the peace, the relaxation, the clear blue sky ahead of you, the wings of an eagle far in the distance, you hear rapid footsteps coming down the street and a familiar voice calling out, Don Pablo, Don Pablo! And you see a young servant woman by the name of Chesa Abel. She is someone that you've come into contact with frequently as ostensibly the servant of your military commander, your sword master. And Chessa is running over to you in a flowy white shirt and a long purple skirt running down the street. She's like, Don Pablo, Don Pablo. Oh my God, it took me so long to find you. I had no idea you'd be here.
Yes, yes, I'm resting. Yesterday was a very trying training session with all the new recruits. But yes, yes, take some time. Do you need some water? We have some coconuts in the back if you'd like some.
I don't have time, Don Pablo. I need you. Sorry. Don Margarito Tempestos, the Storm Sword, requests your presence today.
Oh, do they now?
That's right. And you, Pablo, know Don Margarito Tempestos is one who has taught you and your compatriots many things in the way of swordplay. A man who is said to have fought a vicious sea serpent and lived. He doesn't usually request your attention. He usually lets you do your own thing, so something must be important today.
Something must be important today. So
Yes, absolutely.
Pablo's gonna with great effort and strain, get out of this hammock, slide back on those sandals, and kind of take that coconut off the table, hand it to Chessa here. It's so alcoholic. It might it can don't drink it near open flame kind of thing.
Okay.
And Pablo's gonna say, very well. I'll get there with so much speed and urgency. And he's gonna go and grab like a fresh young coconut, and with his blade kind of pull it out and just use the heel of it just to like start cracking it open and very casually just begin walking down the street.
Incredible. As Pablo takes a stroll, relaxing as he always does, next we are going to cut over to our murder glaive, Jace. Ross, on this bright, shining day in the crown jewel of Virbanwa, where is Jace?
Jace, like many murder glaives, are away from the lights as far as possible. Jace is in a dark and damp room. It's hot and humid. To the point that the darkness feels like molasses. It's sticky to get through. And you see flashes of Jace punching something and his hand reeling back and it's covered in blood. He says, I'm not gonna let you get the best of me. Hey, do you want some? Yeah, this is for you. And for a few moments, Jace is just going at it at something, and his fists are covered in blood and cuts. And a door opens behind him, and a person that looks like a chef enters the room and says, hey, Jace, are you done with those jackfruit? And you see around him, he's just been punching jackfruit open rather than using a knife. And he's like, yeah, I think this is good. Sorry, chef, I gotta run to training. And he like makes his way out, and the chef's looking at all this bloody jackfruit. It's like, well, good enough. He starts like just washing it off and getting it ready for tonight's service. And Jace is like making his way down these dark and sullen halls to a training room where other murdered claves are practicing and preparing and meditating and doing all the really kind of despicable things to themselves to get themselves ready to fight. And Jace kind of just settles in happily, maybe not happily is the word, but just comfortably into his spot, and he prepares in a similar fashion.
You have done this act of ritual that you do so frequently. You are perhaps not happy, as you said, but perhaps contented, perhaps satisfied, because you are on the road to this self-reflection, to this righteousness that only this deep understanding of the darknesses of yourself can provide, and these other murder glaives walk around you, many of them in different states of dress, the most terrifying looking of them wearing black helmets that cover the top half of their face, looking almost more like monsters than like people. And in this moment of somber reflection, a door to the outside flies open, and a few murder glaives kind of wince as suddenly a lot of light comes streaming through, and a voice goes, Don Jace, I finally found you! And you see the servant girl Chessa in her purple skirt, white flowy top, saying, oh my god, oh, I've been running so far to get here. Jace, the Don Tempestos needs you.
In kind of a shadowed corner, you hear a large kind of metal pillar, it sounds like, slam against the ground, and silence covers over the anxiety that this person has kind of entered or brought into this room. And Jace stands up, and he's kind of wrapping his right arm, keeping it hidden as he wraps it in linens, and some of this linen seems like it has some writing or prayers kind of written onto it. Gets his things ready and says, if that pipe hits the ground again, we're dead. So let's talk outside.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just wait for you outside.
Okay, great.
She walks outside and takes a little sip of a coconut that she got from Pablo's area.
Yeah. Jace walks out, and he's most murder glaives have this like terrifying demeanor. It's like they wear shadow as and pain as clothing. But Jace is pretty like well put together. A white, nice linen shirt on. His arm is covered, and he has this kind of military-esque jacket. But within the inside linen of it, or inside lining, is a pattern that you wouldn't necessarily see in the center of Virbanwa, maybe in border towns that were folded into the Lakanate. And he puts that on and says, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to. How can I help you?
No, that's okay. I have so much respect for everything you do. If Don Tempestos and Virbanwa let me be a Kadungganan one day, I'd love to be a murder glaive. I think I've got all that, for it. Anyway, he requested your presence. He's actually waiting, well, he's waiting outside the cathedral. And you can tell from her tone that she's just not talking about any of the churches in Virbanwa. She's talking about the Broken Bone Cathedral.
The cathedral.
The enormous palace where the Pinakalakan spends most of his time. The glorious center of worship to Makagagahum, the one true God.
Great. Thank you. I'm just gonna grab a couple of things. And he grabs this giant metal mace or metal hammer, and has lots of spikes on it, the kind that like Japanese oni kind of take with them. But his has on each of the nubs that you would find on this this large club are little holes. As he swings it around, you can smell incense and fire kind of burning inside of it. And he takes his helmet, not as terrifying as the others, but it still has these like two large horns that protrude from the forehead and curl upwards, and puts it on his side. Says, never know, might need these. And yeah, I'll make my way to the cathedral. Thank you for the message.
Of course. Don Jace, I respect you so much, and I can't wait to spend more time with you. And without elaborating further, she runs off down the street.
Jace slowly walks after him, probably at a very similar pace that Pablo is taking, but with mostly because of his large frame, he just doesn't move as fast as he'd like to.
And as two of our stars begin to converge upon the meeting point, we will move to our third. Sylvia, what is Paloma up to on this day?
Yes, so Paloma is nice and cool inside one of the churches, as she is standing in front of this like stained glass mosaic altar to Makagagahum, her head bowed, her hands clasped in prayer, and her tail is twirling her long Kapilan sword. And all you can hear, it kind of generates a gust of wind, which in a way is also helping keeping her cool. But you can just hear like this metallic twang almost in the air as the sword completes the rotations. As she is almost using it in a metronome sort of way as she is praying.
It's a comforting, habitual sound. And the door to this small church creaks open very slowly. As a figure with both arms has pushed the door open. Doña Paloma! Doña Paloma, it's me, Chesa. It's me, Chesa, your friend. I'm supposed to request your presence at the Broken Bone Cathedral. Sent by Don Margarito Tempest. And there's a thud as she passes out of the ground.
The sword completes one more rotation before her tail flings it straight up in the air. And she just calmly turns around and casually catches it in one hand and resheaths it. Ah, well, duty calls. We'll see what all this training has been about. And she walks to the door where Chessa is now on the floor, picks up the coconut, takes a swig of whatever was left in the coconut, and then calmly rolls Chessa onto her side in like the recovery position, and continues out.
Amazing. And as you drink the milk of the coconut, you feel at once refreshed and full. This hearty, hydrating drink coursing through your body. All three of the lights of Virbanwa begin to converge on the Broken Bone Cathedral. This is the place of worship to Makagagahum that the leader of your Mamandala frequents. It is a enormous, elaborate building with many depictions of the Ashen Star, the symbol of Virbanwa, the symbol of your religiosity, depicted all over it. Much of the cathedral is a darkened red, not because of any paint, but because it is in many ways a war-won building, as much of the building is made from the coagulated blood of the Pale that Virbanwa once fought against a long time ago. These would-be colonizers that thought they could take the Sword Isles. Well, you people of Virbanwa learned how their firearms work, how their printing presses worked, how their magic worked, and were able to drive them off, becoming, in many ways, a blossoming empire that will perhaps even surpass the feared Isohapa one day. This cathedral is a testament to that, and you are taken, as always, by the glory of it as you all approach, walking across this courtyard. As the three of you begin to converge, before you even have a chance to say hello to one another, you all see, standing by the steps of the cathedral, is your guru, your teacher, Don Margarito Tempestos, the Storm Sword. He is an older warrior of Virbanwa, completely bald. His eyebrows and his very well-maintained mustache are all white like the moon. He's wearing a button-up shirt with a short cloak over it, and as always, he has his sable, his rapier-like blade at his side. But he is a few hundred feet away. Seems like basking in the glory of the cathedral, looking up at it. All of you begin to converge with each other. Players, you may converse, you may convene, and your teacher awaits you.
think Pavlo makes sure he makes eye contact with everyone, but very clearly is just going to keep walking forward, though the pace slows a little bit. Like we got a maybe 100, 150 paces to go. Maybe we kind of stretch that out to like 170, 175 if we're lucky. And out the side of his mouth, he's gonna say, I don't know if I expect him to be waiting for us. This might be actually important.
Jace kind of maneuvers to the rear so that we're starting to walk in a bit of a line. And he doesn't know how to whisper very well, I don't think. So I think he'd be like, yeah, looks pretty important. What do you think, Paloma? You think we're gonna actually use our skills for something?
I sincerely hope we do. Paloma also not whispering. We have been training ourselves until our hands have bled. We deserve to be sent out to accomplish a mission in the name of the great Ashen Star.
And Pavlo looks at the two of you, like full on head turns, and you get that look like, you've misread this. And then Pavlo also speaks very loudly. Yes, for the greatest honor, I do hope we get a chance to prove our faith. And then looks back to the group and is like, come on. And then begins to continue that walk.
Something wrong with your neck, Pablo? You keep doing this. Did you do the neck exercises I mentioned? I know you're like getting in age a bit, so you gotta stretch that baby out.
The strain was too great. Your training too severe for my old body. We'll have to take it easier next time. Truly.
Do you say truly through your teeth?
like a dripping truly, like
yeah.
Truly.
And then Jason's like, oh, okay, I got it. Paloma, shush shush. It's shush shush time.
Paloma mimics like zipping her mouth closed and like locking it and throwing away the key.
Okay. And Jace catches the key, puts it in his pocket.
So I love how Jace is so set up to be not as scary as he looks, but I think it's shush shush time really encapsulates that. So fantastic.
And as we kind of close that distance, I think Pavlo is also going to remember and say, by the way, it's good seeing you. Hope you're doing well. You look at least healthy. Okay. I'll find that key later, I guess.
And Jace like takes it out of his pocket and he says, he puts it back in his pocket.
And as laughter and mirth and just cordial friendliness among you good friends continues, your footsteps are noticed by Don Tempestos. And turning around, you see the weathered face of this old man. He comes down the stairs very somberly, as he often is, as a good Virbanweño is. And as he walks down the steps of the cathedral, it really seems like his age is starting to show. It almost looks like he shrunk even more since the last time you've seen him. It can't have been more than a week. He's standing at about 5'6", walking. He is very delicate, very graceful as he does so, but very practiced as well. For all of you trained warriors, you know that this is a body that has killed many before. But to the untrained eye, he would seem like a simple old man. Don Tempestos walks over to all of you and says, my students, my friends, it is amazing to see you on this beautiful day. I think perhaps the one true God has an incredible mission for all of you. Father Ignace Corazon has asked me to find some trusted warriors of Virbanwa to, well, spread his light to foreign lands. and I could think of none better than all of you.
Don, a small band of 3 to spread the word. Is this common?
It is not, but this situation is not common either. You are
Oh.
Yes, you are familiar, of course, with, well, what goes on in Gatusan. And Gatusan is one of the other 5 Mamandalas, the great powers of Gubat Banwa, as it will, and very much the opposite of Virbanwa. Its people are tattooed and headbanded. They sing songs of freedom and the wind and open plains of grass. They follow a Raja who is said to look like a humanoid tiger. Very much the opposite of Virbanwa in so many ways. And perhaps a place whose warriors you've clashed with before on border skirmishes. Don Tempestos continues. We are not just here to fight against Katusan. We will be forming an alliance with one of their territories to handle a much greater threat.
Huh. That must be quite the threat to have us align ourselves with these painted devils in Gatusan.
Think of this, Doña Paloma. There are many ways to spread the light of Makagagahum. I think perhaps by conversation, we can speak to these devils. Maybe they are simply ignorant of his good graces. There
Words
are...
first.
Yes, there are many powerful warriors there, and the Sultanate Akai has its own ways of working with the Gatusanan. I believe it is said that the Gatusanan are like the powerful swordfish that drive through the waters of the Sword Isles. If only someone could figure out how to affix them to our prow. Now, this is a mission that requires delicacy. It requires caution. And of course, it requires the ability to turn a blade on a friend in case things get out of hand. Now, we cannot trust these people of Gatusan, but perhaps we can endear ourselves to them. Now, the good father has requested of me that I simply make sure you are ready. And then he looks to Jace. And my dear Jace, I will be striking with ferocity as if this is a real battle. You must protect your friends, as I know you train to every day.
That will not be a problem. And Jace is like, he's having difficulty in this conversation, especially at the mention of Gatusan. His like right hand is kind of twitching and moving. He has to use his left hand to kind of keep it steady. And you can tell that he's having a little bit of challenge. And he says, I will be their shield.
And
Yes.
Pavlo is going to put a hand on Jace's massive shoulder, reaching up a little bit here, and ask, but you said this was almost a scouting mission. Yes, violence begets violence, and we will not roll over for these people. But it sounds as if this is truly a diplomatic mission at its core. There's a chance we could just make contact and plan ahead. Or am I misreading the situation?
This is exactly why you are one of the people that I recommended to the good father. You come along, Pavlo. It is this foresight that I think will make you a valuable addition to the team.
Yeah, I think it's the prepare for the worst, hope for the best kind of situation.
That's the spirit.
Paloma, strike with
Yes.
all your might. You have my permission.
Gladly.
As Paloma says gladly, the hairs on Jace's neck kind of spike up because he knows what that means and how like painful Paloma's gladly is. So he kind of takes a small breath or sigh of relief knowing that he's not on the receiving end of her blade.
In order to prepare you for Gatusan, I will fight like a Gatusanon. At this point, your guru draws his blade, and you see his shoulders adjust, almost mechanically. He strikes a different stance, one arm lightly to the front, the other holding his sable to the side, as he has suddenly taken an entirely different stance. This is the style of blade perfected by the sword maidens. You will encounter many of them in Gatusan. I will be striking with agility and ferocity. Try to keep up. He points his blade forward at all of you and says the old mantra. Violence until glory! And we cut to combat.
Oh, I got goosebumps,
Oh,
y'all.
yeah.
Oh, whoa.
The field of battle awaits you for today, the front of the Broken Bone Cathedral, almost feeling like a sacrilegious place to battle. But regardless, it feels like the eyes of the Ashen Star are upon all of you. And here are our lovely players! Look at them! They are made in the Gubat Banwa Pit Crew, which is on the Patreon. We have our Blade Weaver Paloma, we have our Murderglaive Jace, or Jacinto, and we have our Senapati Pablo. They are facing off against Margarito Tempestos, who seems to be bold enough to face you alone in this little test of combat. Right now, for the Gubat Banwa heads out there, our Kadungganan, our party, are Legend 0, because they're holding back. It mechanically makes sense. And also, you know, we're getting used to a new system. We'll have them leveled up for next time. All right, it is time for us to do the very first thing we do at the start of every Gubat Banwa battle. We are going to divine the powers, the spirits, to see who goes first. Gubat Banwa has a very special way of rolling initiative. We are going to roll 4d8, and we are going to count the evens versus the odd results, and we want evens. I have 4d8 ready, but I would like to offer... Would one of our players like to commune with the fates right now?
I don't have 4 of them. I only have 1 of them.
Okay, well, that eliminates Steve. I'm happy to roll it if that's best.
We could all roll 1d8.
I think that's cool. Yeah, I
That's
think
cool.
Okay,
I think
you
that
know what?
from now on, I think that's cool.
Let's do it. I'm going to
All right.
roll my white metal D8. I think that seems appropriate for the Virbanwa of it all.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I got
Um,
my D8 as well.
I've got a classic Jade D8.
Hey.
incredible.
Eh,
All right, 3, 2, 1, roll. Okay, I'll save mine for last. Steve, how did you do?
Number of death 4.
Okay,
It's even.
That is even. Sylvia?
also 4.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice.
Ross?
I got 7.
Okay, so we
Yep.
have an odd. So if it is an equal amount of evens and odds, the players are not going to get to go first. I do indeed have good news, but perhaps a terrible omen for all of you. I have rolled a third 4.
Okay.
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 Good news mechanically.
Yeah,
Our
good news
slots did
mechanically.
come up death, death, death.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mechanically speaking, I have good news for all of you. Each player gets 3 Thunderbolts to start the battle with. Thunderbolt tokens are kind of like the fighting game meter of Gubat Banwa, as System Brain Makapatag described it. You can use it on your off-turn abilities. In me and Sylvia's game, defenders could dive into the line of fire, healers could pull people out of attack's reach, and we have a wholly different party this time, so I'm excited to see how it all goes. That being said, one of you may riff first. Take your 3 actions first. And who shall it be?
I have a feeling who wants to go first.
Yeah, I think Jace wants to run in.
Yeah.
Do your thing. You let me know, and I will command your token.
Okay, amazing. So as Don Margarito starts to take the Sword Maiden stance, Jace instinctively readies his club, and he puts on the helmet with the horns on them. He doesn't have the rest of his armor. Usually that's kind of where a lot of the So Murderglaves, they use penance and pain as the source of their power. And for some, their armor is kind of a living, walking Iron Maiden, which is just terrifying. But for Jace, he doesn't have the rest of his armor. So as he puts on his helmet, you can start to see blood dripping down the side of his neck. And he runs forward and goes, "Ah!" I'm going to use 2 actions to get up in front of Don Margarito, and then actually use another action to get behind him to set up a flank.
Smart.
There, and then my third, as he's doing this, the blood starts to drip down his arms and onto his mace, onto his big club, and seep into the crevices within this large club. And like a large metal censer, smoke starts to pour out, and incense, and it smells irony, it smells like blood and frankincense and flame all mixing together. And he's essentially trying to create a encircle Don Margarito with this incense. So he's using the censer attack, I suppose, is inflict violence. So censer, it's 1 beat to an adjacent fighter. That target, there's no roll for this. That target becomes taunted until the end of your next rift.
Okay.
If they're taunted, you inflict dazed, and if they're dazed, debilitated. That is all I can do.
Incredible. You have run behind Margarito and successfully taunted him. This incense coming out. You are an unignorable presence behind the figure of this much smaller old man, who yet seems unfazed. Now, Gubat Banwa has an alternating turn order, so Margarito is going to go now. And one thing that I love about Gubat Banwa is that it's a game that can be played solo because you can roll for what NPCs do. And that's usually how I like to play Gubat Banwa, even when I'm running it, because it almost makes it feel like video game AI a little bit, like to see what the enemies all do. And you as the GM can like correct an action if it doesn't make sense. So Margarito using a brave version of the Sword Maiden stat block.
So at the start of his rift, because he's taunted, you have to roll a d8. You have to roll under the number of thunderbolts I have. So sorry, is it under or at or under?
What is
equal to or lower than your current number of thunderbolts.
Wow.
Roll under, you'll take d8 damage.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's great. All right, I've rolled for his action, so let me roll a separate d8 for this.
Totally.
He has rolled 3, which I believe is at
Amazing.
or under the amount of thunderbolts.
So he will take 3 damage. So
fantastic.
The smoke, as he turns around, it kind of blinds him a little bit and starts to suffocate a little bit of his vision and his breath. And I understand Don Margarito as this impenetrable, indomitable warrior, but as he turns, he coughs, and Jace kind of smiles a little bit.
Ooh. Very, very nice. Now, he is going to inhale this. He is going to steel himself, and I have rolled that he is going to rush, use bladed agility, and then rush again. Now, he is taunted to you, so he is simply going to mess up your formation and run behind you, Jace, in a burst of speed, twirling as he does so. He is going to make a swing upwards. Now, Gubat Banwa very much purposefully is not like Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes blows are not literally piercing you. That being said, you are a Murderglaive and you are used to pain. So I think you very well might feel the sting, the bite of this old man's blade. Let me roll for bladed agility. All right. Ooh, okay, he has rolled an 8, which 100% beats your evade. So he is going to hit you for... wow, okay. The base damage is 12. What is your parry stat?
My parry is 4.
Okay, so you are going to take 8 points of damage as Margarito Tempestos twirls behind you and lands an easy blow upon you. And he is just going to wave his sword and say, "You're going to have to move faster than that to catch the people of Katusa." He is now hasted and can make 8 movement. He is going to run diagonally across the courtyard over here.
He runs diagonally across the courtyard away from me.
That's right.
Okay.
There are no
Yep.
opportunity attacks, as it were, so you kind of got to find your own way to lock enemies down. But he is still taunted to you at this moment, I believe.
Got it.
Meaning if he attacks someone other than you, he is going to suffer a penalty. Kadungganan, it is your turn.
So, Paloma, what is
Yes.
your capacity for movement looking like? Is this like where you need to go? Otherwise, like more like unknowns will be a hindrance to you.
I have ranged abilities and melee abilities. So right now, he is perfectly within inside my range, but I can always get closer.
Okay. I'm thinking. So I do best when I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Our mentor here has done a great job of kind of breaking us up. So let's keep that in mind. I'm leaning towards you going next.
Okay. Yeah.
But you're also kind of like more experienced. Literally my first 4 minutes and 40 seconds of this combat ever. So I'm happy to take notes.
No, you're doing amazing. Paloma will gladly go. Now that Pablo and Paloma have like looked at each other and kind of had like this like silent communication type of thing going on. Pablo knows that he has moved into Paloma's range. So so Paloma is going to start muttering an incantation as she draws her sword, and she starts tracing a symbol in the air with the tip of her sword, and the sword starts glowing, and at the tip of the sword outflows these butterfly-esque looking creatures. Everybody who knows Paloma knows that these are not normal butterfly creatures. Their wings are made of blades. As they float towards Don Tempestos, they form into this ball. This is her Mantala Paru inflict violence, which she's in range 4. And she is going to roll some damage as this ball of these metal-winged butterflies collides into his chest.
Incredible. Go ahead and make that roll.
Okay, well, you know, the dice are being great to me today. That's going to be a 5 versus his parry.
Wow. Okay. So, what was the roll on the die, by the way?
It was a 1. Oh no.
So unfortunately, before you add the damage, the base roll of the die does indeed fall below his evade, unless you would like to roll a thunderbolt to correct that.
Yes, I will spend the thunderbolt to reroll.
All right. Mark yourself down to 2 thunderbolt tokens.
2. And re-rolling. Oh, even better. That's a 4 on the die. So
There
that
we
is
go.
a total of 8 versus his parry.
Incredible.
Nice.
So he is going to take 5 points of damage as this ball of spirits goes flying at him, and he is just barely able to block the attack with his arm, but you can see that he underestimated the force as his arm flies backwards, and he has to crack his shoulder back into place.
Perfect. As an effect, so a couple things happen. So as an effect of Paloma making this attack, she now throws herself 2 tiles away from the target as I flip away.
Nice.
Would flipping downward arguably be not towards the target and therefore away, or do I need to move like backwards?
I would let you do southwest, down left.
Down left. Yeah, okay, so that works.
Okay.
So we'll go there. as she kind of like flips, like bouncing off of her tail almost as she flips over and away. I do gain a thunderbolt because I hit them with a range attack.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm in my sorcery state. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to rush forward. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna rush forward 4 so that I'm diagonal in front of Pablo.
Okay, can do.
And and then he's within. Oh no. I'm slightly too close. Hold on. One,
you don't have to rush the whole way. It's okay.
3. Yes, right there. That would be perfect. As I'm going to take the demerit, but I'm going to use my Tabak Nabuluska. I'm definitely saying that wrong.
All good. All good.
That. As I again make a quick. As I again say a quick incantation. And the power that seems to radiate off my sword creates this almost like wind effect as Paloma flies up in the air and rushes, kind of make this melee rushing attack forward at Don Tempestos.
Very nice.
You do have to make it a
Yeah,
cheat.
you are going to. Yep. So if you do combo breaker or attack twice in the same riff, you are rolling with double disadvantage or 2 demerit. So you're going to roll the die 3 times and take the lowest.
Got it. So as I roll my 3d6. Okay, now they're being super nice to me because that was a 4. So that's going to be another 8 versus his parry.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. And then Paloma's the magical glow kind of ceases as Paloma is now pulled into her sword state, making this melee attack. She is going to deal an additional d4 of damage now that she is pulled into her sword state.
Very good.
It's only a 1.
That's
but
okay.
an additional 1 of damage.
Every bit matters.
I'm allowed to throw the target away 2 tiles. Yeah, so please throw our teacher. That hurts me to say as a player. Please throw the teacher 2 tiles away from us.
Incredible. Well, he can take it, is the good news. All right, so he is suddenly blasted even farther. He does land gracefully on his feet at the edge of the circle in the middle of the courtyard.
Okay, and that's everything for Paloma.
Heck yeah.
She kind of lets off this little like surprised laugh at the end of her combo.
As Don Tempestos lands, he says, "You fight well, but let's see if you can dodge." He is going to, with speed, run to the front of Paloma. Now, he is still taunted to Jace, so he is rolling this with demerit. I'm taking command. You guys know how to play the game well enough that I'm just gonna make him do what I think is optimal. So he is going to do 100-handed hata against you. So
before an enemy that you've taunted makes an attack that does not include me, I deal d8 damage to them by spending a thunderbolt.
Yes.
So as
Love
he
it.
prepares, that incense has not left him. It trails behind him and then suddenly grabs his throat as he starts to try and make an attack. So
incredible.
D8. He'll take 7.
Ooh, wow.
Spicy.
From dealing good damage. Excellent. So
Amazing.
As Don Tempestos inhales the smoke from this censer, he's trying to hold himself together. Paloma, you see his blade in front of you, but this black smoke almost worked to his advantage because you can barely see his hand clenching into a fist. His 100-handed hata against you, he's going to try to punch you repeatedly. Now, he would be rolling with demerit here, I am going to use a point of Gubat, which is like evil thunderbolts, to cancel it out. So the way this works is he's just going to punch at you until he misses.
Okay.
So, question:
Yes.
Do we
yeah,
get
yeah,
do we have
just-
access at Legend Zero for our discipline philosophies?
That is kind of like the passive trait above your inflict violences, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
So I
Mhm.
just like Paloma, just keep in mind, while in my presence and I'm fighting alongside you, you get +2 to all your violence dice, which obviously doesn't apply, but also your defenses.
Ooh.
Wow.
Mm,
There we go.
And then also,
Please, this is why I
Yes.
love Gubat Banwa. Everyone is engaged at all times because you
Yeah.
have off-turn actions. It's
yeah,
great.
Yes.
this is great because I'm just like, okay, I need to use. So I'm gonna spend another. Can I spend multiple thunderbolts?
Yes, you can.
Amazing. I'm gonna spend another thunderbolts. So I'm gonna use Saint Callie's Compassion. Sorry, the previous attack was Malice. This is Saint Callie's Compassion. Spend a thunderbolt before an ally in the battlefield suffers an attack from an enemy. Oh, should I wait to see if it hits? Or
Depends on the wording of the ability. would
maybe I
say.
can read it. Spend a thunderbolt before an ally in the battlefield suffers an attack from an enemy that you've taunted to give them block equal to my resistance.
Ooh, okay. So block is kind of like temp HP. So there's no
Great.
reason to hold it back. What is your res is for resilience? What is your resilience?
Oh, resilience. It's
All good.
2. It's only 2.
Okay, Paloma, you get 2 block, which is basically 2 temp HP.
Okay.
Sorry to use D&D terms. It does make some things go
Yeah,
faster.
Yeah.
makes sense.
Valid, yeah.
All right. So Paloma, what's your dodge stat? Your
It's a
evade stat?
2.
Okay. That
Does that also, do you add the 2 from Pablo to that? Or
so that is going to be Paloma's defenses. So her
I see, got it,
resilience
got it.
and parry.
oh, I see.
So if this attack hit, it would have dealt less damage. So the way that Hundred-Handed Hata works is that he attacks consecutively until he misses. And Paloma, with yeah, I know, with the smoke billowing off from Jace, with Pablo's perhaps maybe not entirely wanted guidance from behind you, you are able to dodge 3 quick strikes from your Guro's hand.
Ha! Maybe it's time for you to retire, old man.
Oh, that's wow. That's harsh.
The Guru is going to say, "Not on this day, until Makakakohum allows it." And he is going to use his final beat to take on the Buhi Nga Kamot stance. And I'm not going to tell you what that is.
Oh,
All right,
gosh.
it's Steve's turn.
Okay.
Okay. So Pablo is going to go ahead and move 3. I'd like to be southwest of
Mhm.
our guru, our group. Our grow.
Can do.
All right, here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna seize thunderclaps. I'm gonna attack an adjacent enemy, with ferocity versus their parry,
Okay.
and hopefully I hit for an effect.
Yep. So
The effects
roll.
happen only if I hit.
That's correct.
Okay.
So roll that die.
And I'm gonna spend a thunderbolt because I'm in my sword state, so that I can give an ally in burst 3 when they make an attack. I have to spend it before they make the attack to give them an extra d6 of damage.
Okay.
Nice.
Now I should also point out, Steve, that you are in flanking with Paloma right now. Being in a
Oh, that's like an
Mhm.
added bonus because this was not my plan.
That's correct. So you are actually going to roll 2 of this damage die, and you're going to take the higher.
Okay. So I rolled 2d8 plus ferocity. I take the higher.
Yes, you're going to take the higher, and then add that damage afterwards.
So 7 is the higher.
It's going to hit. It's going to
Yep.
beat his evade of 2.
Okay. What is the damage?
Sure, it's going to be that 7 plus your ferocity, and because Sylvia's a blade weaver, you are going to get an extra d6 of damage as well. So
Wow.
7
So like my d8 to hit is also my d8 for damage.
yeah, that
That's
is-
so elegant. That's so
yeah,
nice.
love
it's so
it.
nice.
this
Yes.
and Fabula Ultima making damage roll and attack roll the same. Put it in my
so
veins.
nice.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll that d6.
Yep.
That's a 5. We're getting spicy. It's getting hot.
Okay, so up to 12 so far, and add your ferocity.
My ferocity is +3. So that 5 plus a 3.
15. So 15 damage. Incredible. Don Tempestos is looking a little bit winded. And how do you strike him, by the way? What is Pablo's sword style?
So Pablo carries around a straight sword. You know, not very common maybe in some areas, but as a lot of kind of mixing has happened here, just a straight sword looks very much like a thinner, more elegant longsword. Some flexibility, not too much, but something very like true and very predictable, which is kind of like a joke, he thinks, compared to his style in general. But kind of true to that, as the blade kind of strikes and knocks our mentor off balance, he's going to say, you left yourself open. And I'm going to use the effect, one ally in burst 3, which is Jace, can move and tumble for 3.
Okay, so Jace, you get to move tumbling, meaning you can move through enemies and allies up to 3 spaces. Where would you like to go?
Oh, amazing. I'm going to go up 2 and then diagonal to the right, northeast one. So I'm
Okay.
flanking.
Incredible. Now suddenly your teacher finds himself surrounded on all sides.
Yeah, that is kind of what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to inflict violence once more with Blow the Badyan.
Just, by the way, you moved, attacked, and then was that a Thunderbolt to command Jace?
Nope, that's just the effect of the attack.
Oh, wow. So part of your attack is you get an ally to move?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So yeah, I slide
my
you
God.
in,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then I'm going to attack. So I get 2 demerits. So roll 3, take the lowest.
So you're commanding Jace to attack?
No, I'm attacking.
Oh, okay. You're attacking. Gotcha. You have attacked, so yes, you're going to roll 3, take the lowest.
Okay. Might be that 2 that I got. So 2 plus 3 ferocity.
But
So 5.
because it is 2, his evade, his AC is 2.
Okay.
So unfortunately, as Jace comes into position, as you try to strike again, Margarito spins in a graceful way and very easily, almost embarrassingly, just guides your sword against his until it flicks away from him.
Yeah, I think Pavlo's eyes like drip with like venom, daggers in the eyes and also in the hands. Yeah, that's my turn.
Your coordination is impressive, Kadungganan. You have your chance. Now strike like the lightning. It is the top of the second round of combat. And we can change order, too. So who would like to go now? It could also just be Jace again.
Yeah, I think getting him taunted is important because then he gets all the demerits to attacks. So if it's okay, I think that makes sense. Now, I have a technical question. In my violences, I see that 2 of them has the attack keyword, but 1 of them does not.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to use, just in the future, let's say I use 2 sensor violences that doesn't have the attack keyword, do those count towards a demerit?
No,
I haven't technically
not.
attacked.
Sensor
that's
has no effect on Combo Breaker. The game is very much designed that most disciplines have stuff they can attack with and stuff they can do after they've already attacked or before they've already attacked.
Amazing. That feels great.
So Ross, are you debuffing or are you like hurt for this round?
I
can do both.
I will debuff and then I'm gonna attack twice, essentially.
Okay.
Oh, actually,
Yes.
wait a second. Can you explain what dazed and debilitated are?
Absolutely. So these are negative status conditions. Let me pull up the exact wording.
Cool.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. All right. So if you are dazed, you are essentially vulnerable. All attacks you make suffer demerit. All attacks against you have merit. It is very powerful. And then debilitated, they're going to take a minus D4 damage on all of their attacks.
Okay.
So, yeah, daze makes him vulnerable. Debilitated makes him weaker. Yeah.
Okay. So that changes things. I am. There's no opportunity attack, so it doesn't really matter. Oh no, I actually want to use all 3. Okay. I'm going to use all 3 actions to use sensor, which then
Whoa. Okay.
he goes taunted, then dazed, then debilitated.
So, if I may, I believe the phrasing of taunted is that they are taunted until the end of your next rift.
End of my next rift.
And
yes,
this is
rift.
still the beginning of your rift. So he is still taunted, So it takes
Oh.
one more sensor to
Yeah.
daze him, one more to debilitate him, and Jace.
And then I have a free
permission to
attack.
Go hog wild.
Okay, amazing. So I will do exactly that. So he's taunted currently,
Mhm.
dazed, debilitated, and then I'm going to use an inflict violence called Soul Eater.
Okay.
It's a fantastic anime.
Really? I was gonna say like pretty mid, but okay. You know,
I really liked
Ooh,
it.
Debate.
I loved it.
it was just coming out at a time where like, you know,
There was a lot of good
the
things.
buffet was out there, and like you
Totally.
went right for the potato salad.
No, but just like the. We can
We can
the
talk-
art
we
style
know,
is
but
amazing.
it's
The art style
pretty
is
good.
amazing. The art style is
Yeah.
amazing. Okay.
Okay.
I will go. Yeah, I'll do exactly that. So Soul
Yep.
Eater, adjacent. I get to roll a d8.
Mhm.
So you were saying that the dice, what the number on the dice matters more than dice plus attribute. Is that
Dice
the case?
plus attribute is damage. The number on the die.
I see.
will
That's
be
what you're
hit,
attacking. Got it. Okay, got it. Cool. So I'm gonna roll d8s.
Yep. You want above a 2.
Amazing. I rolled a 3.
There we go.
3, and then I'm gonna roll the d8 again to do damage, which is just the 1, plus my spirit, which is 4, so 5 damage all in all.
Okay.
And Jace also heals for d6.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he's back to 30.
I will-
posture.
I will also say, the stance that Don Tempestos took, Buhi Nga Kamot, he gets the ability to strike right before you do. So you're
Oh,
just
great.
going to.
I'll take it.
So as this is all happening, I just didn't want to interrupt you. There's
Please.
a quick clang of his blade. You feel a bruise on your wrist as he strikes your armor. You just take 2 damage.
Okay, awesome. So Jace goes down to 25, then plus 3, back up to 28 posture. And then I gain a Thunderbolts when I attack a taunted enemy.
That's
So
correct.
it's now back up to 2.
And you can check out the Thunderbolts page too, because Thunderbolts can be used for rerolls, your passives, or if you have enough of them, you can spend it all at once to give yourself an extra action. Thunderbolts
Oh,
are
cool.
awesome. They're very much the fighting game
I,
meter.
I think it's like once you're at 5, you just like win combat. Not really, but like I saw it, I was like, no, that's like the win condition.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
You all dealt 41 damage to him so far, which is very impressive.
Excellent.
Ooh.
I am looking to style on our mentor here. I
Yeah.
feel like this is a situation where we're like, we need you to understand that not only did you pick a good choice, pick the best choice. I'm going to spend a
Mhm.
Thunderbolt. I'm going to heal Jace for 3, my ferocity, because I want us to end this with a perfect KO.
Ooh, and how
Mm.
does Pavlo heal, by the way, Steve?
I think Pavlo heals with like fleeting glances. So I think as kind of like this is all happening and things like that, and you're struck with like a very small slice, Pavlo kind of shows up in like a sudden like moment of weakness or like a moment of distraction, and kind of gives them back what for. And as he does, he kind of like lets out a laugh, like yes. And you can see like there's that joy of combat. There's that glory that can be had, and I think that's a galvanizing force when coming from Pavlo.
Yeah, as you like let out that yes, that the smoke is billowing much more significantly. It's becoming way more tangible, harder to move through. Not for you two, but for Don Tempesto. And as you say yes, behind the metal grill of Jace's mask, you see kind of like the white of his, or the red of his teeth smile. And he like steals himself where he was hit by the Goro.
Incredible. Ah, I love it. You're all so good at this game. Fantastic. So if that's Jace's turn, if that is Pablo's assist, it is the Don's turn. You all have gotten him in a rough situation. Pincer attacked like this. So the Sword Maiden's trait is Blade Grace. Before and after making a melee attack, he can move to tumbling and floating, just ignoring terrain. and moving through people.
Dang.
So, Jace, he is going to immediately flip over and behind you as you see this old man crouch and build up enough power to twirl in the air and make strikes at you as he comes down. He is going to do his bladed agility on you.
Nice.
So he is going to attack, and it will deal less damage. And he's attacking with demerit as well, my goodness. Because you really piled on your Murderglaive debuffs.
He'll still hit, though.
What is your evade?
It's 1.
Oh, yeah. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
I think debuff for everyone else except Jace.
But because of the debilitated debuff, that extra damage granted by his ferocity is completely negated. You just take 3 points of damage as he flips behind you, and he once again takes the counterattack stance.
Nice.
Kadungganan Meirith.
I don't know, Shadow. I think maybe kind of our order was working here. Unless you feel like you're looking for more of a setup. Because I can set you up, but if you already have your setup, I say take it.
Yeah, why don't you take it? Why don't you take it, Pablo?
Okay.
Whack him.
Whack him, yeah.
Whack him. In the
So-
knees.
So let's go ahead and like recreate pincers. Because I think this is causing problems for our mentor here. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start with my Seize the Thunderclaps again. So again, we're going to attack. So I roll a d8, and then do I have merit because the mentor is dazed?
He is dazed. That is correct. So you are going to roll 2 dice, take the higher.
4 was the highest with no modifiers.
That will hit.
Okay. So I'm going to go roll my damage. Or so 4 plus ferocity is 3
That's it.
damage.
Yeah, 3. Okay. Wait, how?
Sorry, 4, 7 totals. Excuse me.
Okay, I was like, wait a second, that's a lower number.
But that allows Paloma to tumble 3 if you so choose.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In any direction?
Yeah, tumble 3.
Yeah. So you get to move and move through people if you'd like to.
I would like to go 3 diagonal to the yeah. But one no.
Keeping the melee.
Like there.
I think it's too
Little of
many.
that. Little of that.
Over one.
Over one.
Oh, over one. Okay.
Over another one.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was completely wrong.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me.
Gotcha.
Good.
I will get VTTs figured out eventually.
Okay. I'm gonna try to inflict violence once again. So I get 1 demerit on this.
You get 2 demerit when you do combo breaker.
Okay.
But yeah, because he's debilitated, it's just 1 demerit. Yeah, it can't.
Okay. So I'm gonna roll 2, take the
Yeah.
lower.
And then before you attack, Paloma is gonna spend another thunderbolt, and yell again. Yeah, hit it where it hurts. As you now add an additional d6 of damage to this attack.
Excellent.
Blade Weavers are crazy.
So I rolled my lower of a 6, which is
Mhm.
better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice.
So 6 plus 3 is 9 total. I'm gonna roll my d6
Wow.
for just for a 1, 10 even.
Okay.
But here I'm gonna blow the Banyan, and I'm gonna allow an adjacent ally to inflict violence.
An adjacent ally.
Yes.
Hey, that's me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you.
Great. I think like violence is debilitated. I don't need to do that.
Oh,
I'm just gonna
actually,
do that.
sorry, I'm misreading this. It says you just target an ally. I don't think there's an attack involved in this.
Yeah. So you blow the Badyong, right? That's the one.
Yep.
You command an ally to attack, and
Okay.
there's no combo breaker because it's their attack, not yours.
Excellent. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna do another kind of violence here.
Okay,
Ooh.
cool.
Okay.
So it's disarming violence.
Mm.
So I'm setting up. I got plans here. So it's a d8 plus the ferocity, so it's the same amount of damage I told you, so you don't have to worry about that. The next attack against the target gains plus d4.
Wow. All right.
Then
Great, perfect,
after kind of
yeah.
striking with that straight blade, and just tossing our mentor kind of off balance, creating the space here, Pablo's gonna yell, "Jace, now!" And you can go ahead. The Bod Young has been blown. Make the attack.
Yeah, the Dom Margaritas has tried to he's done the flip, he's attacked, he's been attacked, but the smoke and incense that was on him has actually melted into his shadow, and as Pablo says, now the shadow that he's casting shoots swords towards his back with another Soul Eater.
Ooh.
Hopefully, 3?
3 is going to hit.
3 hits.
You also get
Okay.
+2 because you're in my aura.
Because so it'd be a 5.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. And then
Sorry.
plus
When it says violence dice, does that mean the damage or does it mean to hit?
It's the roll to hit.
Okay.
The violence
Good.
die is the pivotal die that determines not only your base damage, but if you hit, and then everything else is just bonus damage.
Clear to me.
Nice. Should I roll again because I have a merit just to see if I
Yeah,
chain?
yeah.
Just
Go
to
ahead.
see.
If
Who
a
knows?
melee attack rolls the
Yeah.
highest, you can kind of explode a la Kids on Bikes
Yeah.
and keep adding damage.
Only a 7. Pretty close.
Only 7
That's
damage
it.
in this game.
Do they chain on dirty maxes?
So there are no dirty maxes in this because
Gotcha.
your roll to hit is just the highest number on the die.
Gotcha.
So if you roll the highest number on the die, you chain, basically.
So I didn't chain because I only rolled a 3 and a 7,
Mhm.
and then I'll roll my damage now, which
Mhm.
hopefully is okay. 2, that's fine with spirit. So 4, so 6 all in all, plus the bonus that
It's a
Mhm.
Pablo
D4.
had, plus another D4.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, get the D4 out. 2.
Okay. He's looking real wounded. As it's almost like the ball passes from Paloma shouting to Pablo getting his strike in and making an opening for Jace, who brings the mace down. Sick.
Nice.
He's looking real hurt. I realized this is something that I haven't entirely gotten into a habit yet in Gubat Banwa, that when y'all roll damage, I should subtract his parry, his defense from it. So I should have been
I see.
subtracting 3 from more of those attacks. So I gave him a little bit of HP back, but he is hurting regardless.
Love it.
It's a
Yep.
vicious
That's
turn.
great. That's great.
He is going to possibly take his final action for this combat. He is going to. He's rolling with demerit, which is not great, but he is going to once again attempt bladed agility against you, Jace.
Mm-hmm.
He makes his strike. That is a 3 on the violence die for a total of 7 damage minus your parry.
7 damage minus my parry. Okay, yep.
All right,
So
so that is the damage he deals to you.
Right, so I take
Cool.
my parry's 4, so I take 3 damage.
For my aura, for +2 for defenses for allies.
hmm
Defenses means parry or just means
That's right, parry
Oh,
and
right.
resilience. So,
So
subtract another 2 from that damage dealt.
So I only took 1
Wow.
from that.
Nice.
we're so close to the perfect KO.
Yeah.
It is a
Heal.
rush of wind against you, Jace. And you know what? He is going to bank a defend stance as well
Ooh.
as his counterattack stance. And just say, "You are so close. Let's see if you can strike faster than the wind." Now, Kadungganan, you may riff. He is defending, which is going to give him some advantages. So,
Okay.
who would like to act?
It's my turn.
Yep.
So, if you were looking at Paloma, you would see this wicked smile come across her face as she's like fully baring her little fangs that she has. As she twirls her sword, flies up, flies up in the air a little bit as she kind of it's like a blinking movement as she flies towards the adjacent tile of
Okay.
Don Tempesto. So like right
Oh,
Yeah, that-
you're all lined up. That's so cute.
Yeah, but it's okay because as Paloma lands, she brings her sword down to make this melee attack.
Okay, fantastic.
Oh,
Paloma, as you
no!
roll to make this melee attack as well,
Yeah.
Margarita Tempestos is going to strike like the wind. It almost feels like air cuts across your chest. You are taking 7 points of damage.
Ugh, oofers.
Okay, I'm going to use a Thunderbolt to reduce that damage because he's taunted. So I can use a Thunderbolt to before an ally in the battlefield suffers an attack from an enemy that you've taunted, give them block equal to your resistance or resilience. Excuse me. So you just get -2 to that.
All right, so that you
good.
take 5 damage instead.
5 damage. Okay.
Just a little bit, but it helps.
I feel like we shouldn't put the +2 from my aura on Jace, which doesn't affect Paloma, to change your calculation of resistance. I feel like that's too much.
Yeah.
I think actually no, it's just equal to the target's.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, there's no additions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paloma, you are not attacking with merit here because he banked a deflect stance, so it's just a flat roll.
Just a flat roll. Okay.
Unless you'd like to use a Thunderbolt to reroll it.
Does a 3 hit him?
A 3 actually does.
It does or doesn't?
It does.
It does?
Evade is 2. It's pretty rare to have an evade over 2, I will say.
Okay. So with that's a total of 7 damage. Well, yes. 7 damage versus his parry.
Okay.
And then after that, because I made a melee attack, I can spend my last Thunderbolt for my Panagsama ability, which allows me to heal myself or an ally in burst 3 for a d4. I'm gonna choose Jace, because I know Jace hates it when we heal him. And that's gonna be, oh my gosh, I'd heal for so much. That's an 8 of healing.
Yeah.
I don't think you need an 8 worth of healing, but I
No,
will give that
I'm
to you.
overhealed. So
Wow.
Heal
Are you all back to
pristine.
full?
I'm full. Yeah.
I'm the one who has damage.
Paloma
now.
got a nick, yeah.
Ugh, I got
Damn.
a nick. That's okay.
You're so close. He is a light breeze away from falling over. Let's see if we can
Because-
finagle this.
Yeah, because what we're gonna do now, is I'm gonna take the demerits and I'm going to try to attack him again
Oh,
Yes.
Hey.
with my Callous Lao.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these words I know I'm saying wrong.
All good. All
As
good.
I draw my hand across the back part of my blade, and it looks like it ignites with a fire. It's not quite in a fire, but it's like a fire, and then you can kind of see these dragon scales through this manifestation. And she attacks for, I got a 6 on my d6.
Wow.
Yes.
All
A
right.
6, and then the next one is a 4, so that's a 10 plus my ferocity, which is also a 4, so it's 14 versus his parry.
Yikes.
Paloma. In a row with your allies, rank and file, in formation, like your Virbanwa training has taught you. I would like you to describe how you knock your teacher's blade out of his hand.
So as she goes in for this swing with her blade, it's like the blade never actually makes contact with his weapon. Instead, this visage of a dragon maw comes off of and extends off of her sword, grabs a hold of his weapon and just chucks it across the square.
Incredible. His blade lands almost perfectly in a crack in the steps, a small blemish in the terrace to the Cathedral of Makagagahum. Kadungganan, with your forces together, you have defeated your guru. And we are now out of violence, out of combat. The sun beats down on you. There are heaving breaths as you all worked in lockstep to achieve something pretty tremendous this combat. Though you were only fighting one person, this was your guru. This was a very skilled warrior of Virbanwa, the Storm Sword himself. And Margarito exhales heavily and says, "There was a part of me that would hope that you weren't ready yet. That you could stay safe in the jewel city of Ananara. But who am I to stop you from moving on to the next phase in your life as Kadungganan, far beyond the walls of Virbanwa? I'm proud of all of you."
What would be the respectful sign for a student to give to a mentor here?
Sure. There is a lot of respect towards elders in Southeast Asian culture.
Mm-hmm.
Though this isn't quite a greeting situation, you could always give poke. You could like press your forehead to the back of his hand in like a show of respect, basically.
Yeah. This is Verbanwa though, and I'm like asking specifically for this kind of fantasy Southeast Asian culture. Because like we've have a lot of influences here. Bowing seems like correct.
That's my thought as well, because it's a martial teacher, not just a general education one. So
We could even go
Mhm.
full
Yeah.
church and hit the genuflecting kneel with an arm or something along those lines.
That's very interesting. Yeah, we took that from them too.
Yeah. I think a bow, because like Jace's forehead is bloody. I don't think, yeah, maybe a bow.
I think so too. Let's keep it very classy, right?
Love it.
And also a lot of like our martial arts are probably taken from like old world and old teachings and things like that. We'll keep it very much like to that tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
Pavlo definitely will bow quite deeply.
as we're kind of like listening, Jace has the corner of his eye looking at Pablo, and as he prepares to bow, Jace also kind of straightens up and waits for Pablo to initiate the gesture of gratitude and honor to her teacher.
And I think as Pablo and Jace bow, like Paloma takes a step forward, draws her sword and holds it out. Oh gosh, sorry, I hit my mic. I'm so sorry. Draws it out and holds it in her hands. As when she bows, she like offers it to the guru and says, "I deeply apologize for calling you an old man. That is not a descriptor worthy of your greatness.
Dear
I seek your
Paloma,
forgiveness."
words in combat are just the fire of your soul escaping through your mouth. You have no reason to apologize. Keep your sword as it is an extension of you. Now, I am very impressed by your performance. Before we go in to meet the father, he is going to hand you a small wrapped package and just say, "I could sense the coordination of all of you, and this is just a small gesture of mine to show some type of reward for it." And I wasn't going to give y'all a reward for this combat, but you did so good. I loved that you were trying to maintain the 0 damage thing. I've decided to give you a consumable item. You get an Areka Chew, which is on page 81 of the PDF. You gain merit the next time you try to speak amicably or diplomatically. Can also offer this to someone you're speaking with for the same effect. This is kind of from Arekapom, something you can like chew on for the casualness of the conversation, or provide it to somebody as kind of like a communal, let's chew this bit of palm and like talk to each other, ease the tensions a little bit. Y'all did great that combat. I felt
Get a
like
little bit high, get a little,
It
little
is
bit.
slightly
A little
hallucinogenic.
bit.
Yeah, like the real thing is slightly hallucinogenic.
you know exactly what it's about. This is maybe a little bit more intense than the average Bethel nut.
Right. Right.
And with that, you all are taken into the cathedral by Margarito.
As we're walking,
Mhm.
Jace very quickly takes off his helmets, and he's practiced this like movements over and over. That might be part of the ritual as he's like preparing to go or to leave or to fight,
Mhm.
where he has a headband or a cloth ready to go to wipe the blood and to put it over where the maybe points of penance were on his helmet, which were kind of an extension of the horns into his forehead. That's where all the blood was coming from. So he's doing all of this, one, to look presentable, but two, to also, he never wants to worry his friends and his family. So immediately he is kind of back to his kind of smiley self, even though if you look closely on the black headband, it's still bleeding, like it's still pooling blood.
Absolutely. It is a ritualistic and considerate gesture of you, a murder glaive, a weapon of penance and warfare as you enter this temple to your god.
Actually, a question for Jace.
Hmm.
You kind of spoke to it like this was like a normal thing. So Pavlo and Paloma, would you say that we have seen you do this before, like this ritual?
Totally. Like, and it's probably more elaborate. Like if he had to take off his armor, he's already like cleaning wounds that his armor had inflicted on him.
Yeah, and the reason I asked is because Pavlo is looking for like, did your ritual change? Like, was that a sign of like something else going on? And in this case, probably not.
No, it's essentially exactly the same, except just the helmet, not the cuirass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Pavlo like gives you like a hand on the shoulder as like a gesture, like your ritual was seen. And then as they enter, Pavlo will find someone who's like sweeping the steps and things like that and berate them for not handling our master, who is clearly in need of water and drink and tea, and will take their like straw broom and like hit them over the head and kick them in the ass and be like, "Get down there! What are you doing?"
So sorry, so sorry. As this teenage servant boy who's kind of like slacking off on the job, you're able to spot him very quickly.
As he's like stumbling, Jace kind of walks over and is like, "Hey, bud, do you need a hand? Like, the kitchen's a little far."
No. It's all good. It's all
No,
good.
yes. Yeah. He like grabs the guy and he just like
Uh,
tosses him towards the kitchen.
Incredible. The servant boy takes a roll and he says, "So sorry, my dear Kadungganan," and he runs into the kitchen area. So
Well, and as he like lands, Jace is keeping an eye to see if he's hurt.
Oh.
He didn't do that to hurt him. He did that because he knows that others might hurt him for not taking the appropriate actions.
Absolutely. You are the firm hand to prevent the more damaging hand, ostensibly.
Totally.
Sure. Yeah. There's a nuance to Jace's action there for sure. The teen boy basically just flees off. You know, from the absolutely terrifying figure that threw him, but you know that what you have done is an act of good, and you kind of mentally pat yourself on the back as much as you possibly can.
I give Pablo a nod, and we get back into formation.
Incredible. And as you all, the giant double doors open into the cathedral, Paloma, you are taken by the hallways of this place. The white stone mixed with the red coagulated blood, almost transparent, all fusing together in this strange, pristine tapestry. You've got a little bit of a walk before you get to the main area. How are you feeling as the light of the stained glass windows falls upon you?
I think immediately as she steps into this aisleway.
Mhm.
She makes a sign. I don't know what this looks like, but she makes a sign of like the ashen star, like a sign of a devotion to her faith.
Mhm.
And she kind
Kind
of
of a
like,
sign of the cross deal a little bit. Sure.
yeah, very similar. Um, and she straightens her sash. She tugs down on her shirt to get the creases out. She fluffs up her balloon pants a little bit more so they're a little bit more floofier. And she steps forward. Like if she wasn't the front of the group, now she is, as she takes the couple of steps necessary to kind of become the front leader of the trio.
Mhm.
And she's very careful not to let her eyes linger too long on what I assume is the figure at the end of our aisleway. And yes, and there is a quietness that comes over her that Pablo and Jace would almost feel as they enter into the space.
And indeed, Paloma, as you are leading the little V shape of your trio, following behind Don Tempestos, who at this point is uh, kind of shooed away the servant boy who returned with some tea, and he's like, "Not in the temple, later, later." Um, you are the first to see um, at the uh, at the front of the room, underneath this stained glass window, depicting the glorious one true god Makagagahum with his 3 heads, nails in his eyes, and his crowns of thorns. You see a priest in all white, a vicar. This is Father Ignace Corazon, one that you perhaps have seen in passing. He is an utterly devout priest of Makagagahum, tall for a person of the Sword Isle, standing at almost 6 feet, when 5'8" is kind of more the norm for the warrior types. Utterly clean shaven, clean hair, slicked all the way back, broad shouldered, slim, truly the perfect Virbanweño. And he solemnly nods to all of you, his hands behind his back, and addresses first Don Tempestos, giving him a small bow, and says, "Storm Sword of Virbanwa, I trust that the Kadungganan have proven themselves to you." And Don Tempestos is going to nod and say, "Above and beyond, I think they are ready to face the wild plains of Katusa." And the priest looks to all of you. "Very well. It is an immense pleasure to finally be talking to you. I am Ignace Corazon, just one humble servant of the one true god Makagagahum. Kadungganan, warriors of Virbanwa. It is a pleasure to meet the right hand of our Lord on this mission into the barbaric wilds."
I think Pavlo will look to Paloma. You're kind of at the head here. And I think they share that look that, you might feel some trepidation, some like hesitancy here. But Pavlo is pushing you. Pavlo wants you to speak up. And like obviously you can do whatever you want, but Pavlo is like, this is like a moment to be seized.
I think with that, Paloma clears her throat uh, and then says, "It is truly an honor, Father Corazon. We cannot express how grateful we are for this opportunity to prove ourselves."
There is no gratitude needed, as all is the will of Makagagahum, and we are but motes of light in the universe he has crafted. I respect your reflection and penitence. One thing I'm sure that many of you are quite familiar with. And then he looks over to Jace.
Jace's right arm is bothering him. Every time the father speaks of humility while standing in like a cathedral of grandeur, his right arm twitches. When he said that they were going to meet the barbarians, his right hand is twitching and tensing. But Jace is keeping it under control. He actually puts his hands behind his back in this case, keeping it steady. And he bows and he says, he is the one true path, and I'm happy to follow it.
Ross, I think you've given us a glorious moment for our first divination of the campaign. In Gubat Banwa, skill checks are quite simple. It's just a d12 plus the number of the skill I'm having you roll. But I think here I'm having you roll Resolve. And hovering over the lovely Gubat Banwa character sheet, I think Resolve is going to be an interpretation of kind of bending your wrath back into the shape of your mortal body to make sure that it doesn't lash out. So just roll a d12 plus 4, which is your Resolve.
Amazing. So d12 plus 4 is a 7.
Okay. For this, we will say it's fine. Like you said, he is the one true path. The father is going to nod to you, seemingly none the wiser to this flare-up inside of you. And he's going to say, "It is not without gravity that I consider cooperation with Katu-san. They are like a storm, powerful, but they will destroy all in their path. However, one of our outposts on the island of Ambuhotan in Gatusan territory had an encounter with something. A humanoid creature. The surviving scout that witnessed it said that its skin was almost like silver. I cannot ignore the possibility that one of the Pale may be alive and in the Sword Isles."
Would Pavlo know what the Pale are?
Absolutely. So, Virbanwa is this glorious civilization because it resisted colonization by a far-off empire known as Isohapa. Isohapa is very much along the lines of our, modern fantasy conceptions. They also fight very brutally, and they're warriors infected by this magic. Their skin turns pale and silver. Some call them the Pale, some call them the Pale Kings. These colonizers that you all seemingly fought off so long ago occasionally have rumored appearances, but it's something that must be treated swiftly before they drain the life from whoever they come across in an almost vampiric fashion.
Pavlo speaks up and remind me, is Ignis goes by father?
Father, vicar, or even Don, which is the masculine formal term in Virbanwa.
Gotcha. And it would be Corazon or Ignis to be more respectful.
Corazon, being his surname.
Yeah. So Pavlo speaks up, Father Corazon. Of course, we jump at the opportunity to rid this land of the blight of the Pale. It is our duty. Humble servants, we act swiftly and with no ask for any recognition. But we ask for no recognition of God. Do we know if our actions will be seen by those who we want to those who we want to see it?
I am going to have a very loyal soldier of mine accompany you, and he will be reporting back to me. So, rest assured, Kadungganan, your legend will only substantiate itself. After all, how many Virbanwans can say that not only did they spend time in Gatusan territory, but are able to work with those bloodthirsty warriors in order to craft a more peaceful future and the possibility for trade?
I agree wholeheartedly. A shepherd should lead the flock, even if wolves are among them.
I see that Margarito's words about your silver tongue were accurate.
Who am I to deny such praise?
Well, I suppose it is Makagaga who will decide your honesty on that. Now, is there anything else you would like to ask of me? We have a ship ready for you. We can leave at dawn.
If supplies are ready and we have the provisions, I mean, I just plan to get drunk tonight. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm down. But sorry, before Don Corazon, we've spoken around the Gatusanan, working with them as a whole, but do we have a contact? Are there people that we will need to speak to? Is there anything that we need to know? If we were to treat them amicably, it would be great to know their practices, the things that they expect. I don't want to shit the bed on this, basically. I don't want to
Lose faith, I think, is what Jace is saying.
lose faith. Lose faith.
Of course. We do have a contact, one that our scouts, our local warriors have long established contact with and amicable enough relations. You will be going to a small village headed by an elder by the name of Makusog. He and his family have been... They are ostensibly the primary power on the island of Ambuhotan. It is said that they have a warrior who can fell trees with her bare hands, and she's proven, well, quite the obstacle as far as any potential seizing of the territory. So perhaps better to work with them and know what we are all capable of. Hold a moment. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a ring with an orange stone as its jewel. Perhaps it is best to come with a signet ring of some kind. Show that, well, one of you can be trusted enough to be the representative of this party. To show that you represent all of Virbanwa with your actions, with your words, with your diplomacy. And the people of Gatusan often ask to prove themselves through combat, as well as words. So, I, as someone who is just truly meeting all of you today, cannot decide who the best bearer of this signet ring is. Do any of you have thoughts?
Not I.
Of course, Pablo says, kind of walking in front of Jace. The signet ring is a wonderful tool to have at our disposal. One that shows our loyalty to our hearts and our emotions. One that shows that we come here just to bring truth and, more importantly, justice. And Pablo takes the ring and thrusts it into Jace's hands.
He has no time to react, so it's on, and Do you put it on his right hand or his left hand?
Jace puts, or sorry, Pavlo puts it on. Does the ring fit? Is a good question. Does the ring actually fit? Does it just go on your pinky?
I think it might go on the pinky.
I think it has to go on your pinky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to go on your pinky. So
Yeah.
it goes on your right pinky specifically.
Jace recoils and then grabs his hand and keeps it steady. And he looks at it and he bows deeply. And he says, "Thank you for this honor. I will uphold our values and treat our enemies and our allies with the love of Makakahum." And he's like holding his hand steady as he's talking.
If there is anything that differentiates us from the Gatusanan, I think it is our self-reflection and our penitence. You're very clever, Don Salamanca, and I respect this gesture. I think Jacinto will be a fine representative.
Of course.
I think at this point, Margarito, your guru, is going to look over to you, Paloma, and just kind of say quietly, "No consideration for yourself."
Paloma is going to bow and is going to say, "I know my place is not to win those over with words. I stumble when we need someone who is skilled in order to perhaps win those over to our cause and our truths. My skill, well, let's just say it would be a great honor if this truly is one of the Pales, to slay them and add their blood to the cathedral. That is where my talent lies."
Very well said. And the vicar is going to raise his hands to all of you and say, "Praise be to Makagagahum. Now, rest well tonight, everybody. At dawn, the ship, Gatusan, and Ambuhotan await." And for the sake of expediency, we are going to smash cut to a boat cutting across the water. It is a small vessel, perhaps made to comfortably accommodate for no more than 20 residents at a time. There are a number of servants rushing about you under this clear sky. Though the water is rough, you are not going all that far, because the many islands of the archipelago of the Sword Isles are quite travelable by boat. And it seems that whatever route you were taking, you can tell you were kind of granted permission to do so. As you all are hanging out on the ship, you see a soldier kind of spearheading everything. He is wearing bronze and golden armor, with a helmet that looks almost like a beak with wings on the side. He has a large spear as he is commanding everybody around him, and he says, "All right, everybody, we're almost there. Keep your eyes up. And remember, blades at the ready just in case those barbarians decide to attack us." And he turns around. Keeping his helmet on, you can see this big smile through the helmet. This is Egil, spelled Egil. Very strange name, taken as perhaps a bastardization of the word for the banog, the large hawks and eagles of the islands. His name is a mispronunciation of eagle. He is very much a powerful Virbanwa soldier who is guiding you towards this territory. And as you all, after maybe just about a half day's travel, arrive at this dock, he is the first one to get off the boat and gesture for all of you to follow him. He says, "Don't worry, I have been to this island many times. I can lead the way. I'm happy to."
Jace leans over to Paloma and whispers, "I really don't like it when people tell us not to worry. That's when you worry, right?"
Yeah, that like it does nothing to alleviate any worries. I didn't know there was a need to be worried or
worry
not to be worried until they say it.
Now I'm worried. Man. Okay. All right. And he like places Paloma in front of him. We start walking.
The clank of Egil's armor resounds throughout the open air. It is the later afternoon as you walk through this dense jungle brush and clearing. He kind of casually swings his bladed spear to knock branches out of the way. You are a very small party advancing to this village. And you come upon a very small settlement. It appears in the distance at the bottom of a small valley. There are lush greenery all around you, and it looks to be several dozen homes made out of wood and straw, and a fairly bustling center of the town, though, of course, this is nothing compared to Ananara. Egil looks to all of you and says, "All right, so this is well, this is the main village, as it were, of Ambuhotan. Everyone seems to congregate to this area because I guess the monsters in the forest are, I guess, a little bit too scary. So I'll keep an eye. For whatever reason, I wasn't the one chosen to talk to the village elder here, but I'm happy to back you up in case you need it."
Is Egil the person that Father Corazon said was going to be like our guide?
That's correct.
Okay. And this like heavy armor situation here, this is very like a Virbanwan, like
100%. Yeah.
okay,
This is
yeah.
not typical of the rest of the Sword Isles.
Okay, okay.
It also sounds like decorative, you know what I mean? Like not just functional.
Decorative is such a respectful way
Yeah,
of
yeah.
how I would describe this.
Yeah, it's definitely leans more towards gold toilet than, that
Yeah.
kind of like ostentatious.
I cringe thinking about like being in like Southeast Asia with like metal clothing.
Right? Jeez.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's bad enough when clothing sticks to you, but like having a metal like chain mail or like whatever like sticking to you,
Yeah.
I do not need that.
There's like leather and fabric underneath. Just
Oh,
no
when
way.
leather is like against your skin like that and it's that hot, it's like, come on.
Yeah, you do see that he is dressed fairly immodestly considering the armor. There is a flash of powerful thighs underneath the kind of battle skirt.
Right.
This would be the biggest person in the room where Jace was not present.
Yeah.
Ostensibly. But he does direct you to the village, and it seems like there is a welcoming party waiting for you because a fairly tall, incredibly muscular woman is standing at the front of the village. Her hair is in a warrior's ponytail behind her, and she is just waving to all of you and says, "Well, well, well, welcome, bastards of Gatusan, to Ambuhotan!" There are tattoos running up and down her arms, even to her neck, as the possibility does not escape you that this is perhaps the warrior that could fell trees with her bare hands that the father mentioned. She runs up to all of you and says, "I am Laya. Some call me Laya of the Thunder because, well," she kind of just flexes, her tattoos ripple a little bit as she does so. Her tattoos largely consisting of lines with zigzags through them, very much accentuating the power of her body. "But I have a feeling we're going to be working together for a little while as we take on the common enemy. That's what the people of Virbanwa are here for, right?"
Yes.
Yes.
We are here for the blood and the combat, and you are just really impressive, Doña Thunder.
Ooh, Donya, that's a Virbanwa word. What's that mean? Something along the lines of cool?
Yes. And then
Okay.
It's a sign of
Paloma
respect.
just looks at Pablo.
And Jace like speaks up. It's a sign of respect. You immediately have ours. My name is Jace. I am a representative, I guess, and he's like doing this with the signet ring of Virbanwa. And I'm accompanied by my family, Pablo and Paloma.
So as the two of them struggle very, very difficultly, Pablo is going to like take up the rear here, and Pablo has been kind of lagging behind the entire time because he insisted on carrying like a really heavy pack through all of this. And as Pablo kind of like huffs out front, apologizes, says, Donya Lila, I apologize. My friends and I are weary from the road, from the sea, but this relationship that I think we are having here, I think we have something very special. And kind of like uses that as an extension to slough off that huge pack. And inside are like small clay pots that all have like a nice burned rice on the inside. So that a bunch of like smoked meat and a ton of booze. Like the booze is what makes that pack so heavy. And says, we can talk business, we can figure out strategy, we can go to your maps and decide where troops should go. But I have always been taught that you should only do that once you trust each other. And pulls up a bottle and says, I happen to have a liquid trust here.
You offer a feast, Kadungganan?
It's modest. It is modest. We can only carry what we had on our backs. But combined with your folks and their generosity and hospitality, I'm sure we can make something work.
You sure know how to impress somebody. Well, first things first. Laki is our formal term for addressing people of masculine presentation, and Bayi looks to Paloma for those of more feminine presentation. Your Don and Donya is very nice, but just so you know, not all other villagers will be as welcoming as me, but hey, consider myself impressed. One warrior to four others. Welcome to Ambuota.
Jace looks back and is like, oh yeah, there's eagles there.
Egil is kind of just kind of sticking his spear into the ground and kind of fiddling with it, clearly a little bit uncomfortable. And he says, is it hot in here for anybody else?
Yeah, it's so hot. Yeah, you're not alone on that. Yeah.
Weird. Well, I'm not taking this armor off. You never know when it's time
No,
to
no,
tussle.
keep it on. It's a yeah, if you keep it on, you'll freeze. Or take it off, you'll freeze. It's actually like it's bad.
Oh yeah, it's changing from like hot to cold very quickly. No,
You
I
get
feel
sick.
you. I feel
Yeah,
I
you
could
get
die
sick.
on the
Yeah,
spot
sick.
for sure.
Yeah. Jace just looks to Pablo and kind of does the, can I carry this now? He probably was like, let me carry it. And there's this back and forth of like, no, I have a plan.
Yeah, there was a drama reveal needed,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
it has less meaning, but like he didn't explain that. It's
Totally.
just like, yeah, you can't do that, and like I'm not gonna explain why.
Yeah, exactly.
But now all of a sudden it's like, no, pick that up.
Pick
like,
it up.
I need you.
He's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Jace
now you carry it. Come on.
grabs it over one arm, and then kind of unintentionally, he's also like flexing just to kind of compare with Lila. He, as they like begin to walk, he's like tries to like strike up conversation with
Laya.
with Laya, excuse me.
Mhm.
It says, man, what kind of protein do you eat? Like, I've been trying to bulk up, but you're amazing.
Hey, whatever comes my way. I'm just a big fan of you get it all in you and then it turns into something else.
That's what I keep saying. They keep wanting to feed us fruit, and I'm like, I need more meat. So,
Oh, there's plenty in Gatusan. You just gotta go look for it. And
Right.
between you and me, I really started bulking up to impress somebody I had a crush on. The child of the village elder. They're gorgeous.
Hey,
Face like the moon, hair
hey,
like a black waterfall.
damn.
And guess what? We are dating now.
Hey, hey, that's like the fist bump.
So what
That's
about you?
awesome, dude.
What about you, big fella? Anyone special in your life?
Uh, uh, these two are my family, just me. Um, the he's suddenly like uncomfortable with the question, and he's like, there was somebody before. No, not right now, not right now. We have a mission, I guess. Anyways, tell me more about raven hair, moon face.
Bulan. Their name is
Bulan,
Bulan.
Bulan.
And they are just my moon and sky. They are everything. And I'm sure you will meet them very shortly.
I I can tell how beautiful they are because of the way that you shine. So I can't wait.
She kind of smiles, a little uneasily at first, almost as if to say, it's strange how well we're all getting along.
Uh, I don't know if they would notice, but the inside lining of Jace's military jacket, leather jacket, is of Gatusan textile. Like
Mhm.
it's a pattern that is maybe less common, but definitely of their craftsmanship.
All right. I think I think Laya does not notice in
Right.
this moment. But you all continue to walk through the village, and there's a fair number of eyes on you. You see a few folks in what you assume to be Gatusan warrior garb, very light, uh, mobile dress. Um, Many of the warrior folks, it seemed like, have tattoos in the village, and you are kind of taken to the equivalent of the town plaza, where all the food is dropped off. And Laya says,
Mhm.
just a minute, I'm gonna go grab the elder. And she runs off for a few minutes inside of a central house, basically. What are all of you doing as you feel these eyes upon you?
I think Pavlo will take a look, take some stock here. Everyone seems like more or less like commoners, farmers, hunters, things like that, right?
Mhm.
Pavlo is going to pick one at literally random, pull out of the pack some of this like cooked burned rice, um, and approach him. And we can't be too friendly right now. No armor on the shoulder, nothing like that.
Mhm.
But says, what's this area called again?
It is called Ambuhotan.
Ambuhata.
Ambuhotan.
And the country, like the region, like they're what they identify as, like, is
Oh,
it countrymen?
Gatusan. Gatusan.
Gatusan. Pablo's gonna say, you must have something like this in Gatusan. Like, and pops open like the pot here and shows like with some chopsticks, like the burned rice, like a nice golden brown, and the nice like fluff on top. You gotta have some of this here, right?
You walk over to this fairly young adolescent person. They look like they might be maybe 14, and um, they are a catfolk of the Sword Isles, basically. So there's a slight feline nature to their face, and their ears kind of perk up as you offer this food, and they kind of just stare at you a little bit uncertainly. And this Kamikam, this catfolk, just kind of looks to you and says, "They said they would bring gifts, and that I shouldn't take them, and they're just going to run away."
That's wise. That's actually very smart. And as the person walks away, Pablo just continues and begins saying a speech to the entire room. It is always difficult to make contact with those you don't know, and trusting them is a surefire way to find a knife in your back. But I've always been taught that Your heart knows what is true, and it knows it before anything else. So I think following your heart here is the wisest thing you could do. I hope that as time goes on, you continue to lean into the trust and the feelings of your hearts. See what we talk about. Sorry, hear what we talk about. See what we do. Hear what we have to say and feel as deeply as you're willing. In fact, that's what our faith teaches. Our faith teaches to feel. There are things in this world that are impossible to understand just by sitting and thinking and writing and doing math. There is a bond between everything that lives. And our faith just teaches us that we listen to that bond and we do everything in our power to strengthen it where it benefits the community and sever it where it will hurt it. I've been shown that you are already wise, and I have no fear here. As long as we are in your care, I might as well kick up my feet. And sits down and begins pouring drinks. Just picks up glasses. Anything that's around here. Just starts picking up glasses, starts pouring drinks here, a little bit of wine, and just starts handing it out. Whoever takes it, takes it. Whoever doesn't take it, that's fine.
This sounds like a great little moment for a roll, Steve.
Love
so you're going to roll a d12 and add a relevant stat. I think poetry, grace, control, even tenderness are all arguable. And the base difficulty will be 5.
I'm going to use control here. It's my best, but I'm going to narratively say that, having someone scorn you and then using the situation and spinning it takes finesse.
Mm-hmm.
A d12, 4, decent, plus 3, 7 total.
That does clear the 5. Also, perhaps poetically, the same as the roll that Jace rolled on willpower before. A lot of similar numbers coming up here.
A lot of death.
Yeah, a lot of death, a lot of luck. There is indeed caution as you speak, but as you present your grand gestures to the village, there's kind of a few whispers among the people of Ambuhotan. Some of them saying things that are perhaps optimistic, like, hey, maybe they don't seem that bad, and others saying things more cautious, like, I mean, after all, there's more of us than there are of them. It seems like you've cultivated a nice friendly atmosphere, and folks kind of start to gather, but it seems like they are holding off from accepting the gifts. Until all eyes turn towards the largest hut in the village. First, Laya steps out, and then another individual, slim, round face, beautiful, wild black hair that almost reaches past their back. Jace, you assume that this is Laya's love. They mentioned their name was Bulan, a word for moon. And finally, stepping out of the central hut, with a cane to hold themselves up, is a frail, older Gatusanan. They are hunched over, but still tattooed, as it seems like perhaps once they were just as full of life as the people of the village. You assume this is Makusog, the village elder. And Makusog speaks to the people of his village. My family, we are welcoming the blades of Virbanwa to keep us safe. Treat them as you would a friend. And much like a branch that is pulled back by a child, do not be afraid to snap back with force if they do the same. For now, everyone, we feast. and the feast begins. There's a sharing of all the food that you all have brought. You see that in a moment of unease, Egil does eventually take off his bird-like helm and put it under his arm. He does keep his hair clean and slicked back, but he let a little bit of a mustache grown in as he kind of starts helping himself. He goes right for the sweet barbecue meat brought over. And things are nice for a little while. Paloma, how are you feeling in this moment?
Um, I think Paloma has faded into the background a little bit because.
Sorry, before you do that,
Oh,
can I
yeah, yeah.
can I insert one scene before the
Please.
elder got here?
I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is Paloma and Jace before the elder appears, and like as people like are milling about and things like that. Pavlo is going to position himself such that if he were to reach out for hands, he would grab Jace's right hand, and Paloma's, I guess, then left hand, yeah, and kind of like either sitting or standing, it doesn't matter. Reach out to touch them and say, "I really didn't mean those words. I know I do that song and dance a lot. You've seen it before, but I really do mean it. Heart is what people want. Speaking from the heart is all these people really want. If you try to lie to your heart, I guarantee you that these people will know you're lying. Speak truthfully. The truth might be ugly, might be uncouth, but I think here that's our strength. In truth." And then Pablo has like a longer look at Jace, but also Paloma. But like there's a lingering there, and says, "The feelings in your heart are truly beautiful, and that beauty shines."
Jace is like grinding his teeth, like unconsciously. It's
Yeah.
just kind of happening from like a stress reflex. Yeah, but he's kind of nodding as he's listening along.
Did Paloma have a reaction, or just like absorbing, digesting?
I think you would also feel like Paloma squirming as well, and just kind of have like that like tell the truth, kind of like
Yep, fair enough. I think that's what he would expect, but also the words were spoken, and I feel like that was important to like inject before, this next scene.
Yeah, I guess before like they break, I guess like they're about to like let go of hands, and then Jace kind of grabs both of them again and says, "I'm glad I'm here with you. You are my family." And he lets go and says, this ring's really heavy. And he like begins to walk over to where the elder is starting to emerge.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you guys talking about? Egil says.
This guy.
We were praying before our meal. Egil.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Glory be the Makagagahum, yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for injecting that, Steve. I thought that was lovely. I love my players so much. Can't wait to hurt them.
oh no.
We
Eventually.
hand you the knife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go first.
For sure. As the elder comes out, gives his speech, you all start to chow down, as this is a universal gesture of togetherness in the Sword Isles. As you all speak with one another, you share food, the unease starts to evaporate. At least until there's a scream in the village. A shout of fear, as if something horrible was just seen. And on the roof of a building, a crimson hand pulling a crimson striped body over it, you see something horrific. A demonic entity, a Yawa of the Sword Isles, seems to have crashed the feast. The elder is going to whisper to themselves, "May the spirits protect us." And Bulan, their child, the heir, in a way, of this village, is going to look to Laya and say, "My love, it's true. The Yawa are growing in power and number." Laya is going to crack her knuckles together and say, "That's all right. I wanted to see what our new friends can do." As you all gear up for battle, is there anything you all say to one another in this last moment in this village?
I think Jace like runs ahead a little bit and calls to Paloma and like gives her a platform. Like he like positions his shoulder so that she can go wherever she needs to go, up, down, forward. And he has his studded club ready to go. And I guess they're both looking for Pablo at that point.
Yeah, I think Paloma, because are there like tables or like benches?
You are all sitting
Just
on the
sitting.
floor,
Okay, yeah. Just wanted to.
with large leaves kind of acting as your table.
Okay, wanted to have an idea of what's
Of
currently
course,
around us.
yes.
Paloma draws her sword, dips it into the fire, and gets ready to like springboard off of Jace.
And Pavlo gets up, creaking, like dusting off his pants, and kind of looks to the villagers and pulls off the sword from his belt, his straight edge, and says, "Your beasts, your demons, we are happy to deal with them. But we deal with them like you do, because we are no different." And takes a sword and throws it on the ground and says, "What blades do you use here?"
Laya's going to laugh and throw you a chopping sword from the ground. This is kind of it looks to be, you could think of it as like a machete-like blade.
Yeah.
With a blade that kind of curves almost to the point that it's flat for cutting through dense underbrush.
Functional. Effective. It will do, and then some. So we will handle this. Sit, eat, but watch. And Pavlo will take the blade, sling the dull side over his shoulder, and begin walking out after his companions.
And when the three of them are like grouped together, Jace looks at both of them and says, "Violence. Violence until glory."
Glory.
The Yawa shrieks from the roof. And that's the last sight that our warband sees of the session. But we, the omnipotent audience, are going to cut very briefly to Father Ignace Corazon in a private worship quarters. He is submerged almost entirely in a bath of ash, sitting penitently in this black, dust-like substance. He looks upwards to a stained glass window of the Ashen Star. "What is that, my God?" "You say death awaits these warriors. One will die? How tragic." And a tear starts to form at the edge of his face. "But the match is tossed. The fire is lit. And where there is flame, there will be ash and cinders. What will you choose, Kadungganan? Will you be the light, the righteous light of Makagagahum, or be taken by the darkness? The choice is in your hands." He stands up, the ash sifting off of his body. Rejoice in the glory of Makakakahum. Rejoice in the victory of Virbanwa. Rejoice in the glory of combat.